Well, welcome everyone. It's really an honor for us to be here. There's a group of us in Vernon, British Columbia, at the home of Anne Marie Johnston, a Dutch Canadian righteous among the nations. And today we have the honor of hearing her story and the story of her mother and father during the Second World War, during the Shoah, the Holocaust, and how they saved the lives of Jewish people. Anne Marie, let's hear your story.
When we were hiding the Jewish people. Well, the thing was, of course, the war started the 10th of May, 1940. We lived near the main road that went from Heerlen, Maastricht, Heerlen, and up to Aachen to Germany. And on the 10th of May at 4 o'clock, my father woke me up and said, "Come, you have to see something and you have to learn something." And we went round the corner, and there they came, thousands of them, literally thousands, marching, singing. When wir fahren gegen England, so when we go against, we are going to conquer Germany. And then my father said to me, "You see all that?" And I said, "Yeah, Papa, what is happening?" And he said, "No, we are going to be a German province. And you see all those people." And I say, "Yeah." He said, "They are marching because there is somebody who is insane in Berlin and is telling them to march. And that is what they are doing." And he said, "You, the good Lord, gave you very good brains. And now I am telling you, you have to use your brains. And if somebody tells you to do something," he said, "watch out, think about it, and if it sounds iffy, never ever do it, because that is the downfall of the world in general. People do without knowing what they are doing and why they are doing it. And that is why you have those big problems." Anyway, so of course the Germans took over. And then in 42, 43, my mother had been ill, and we got what was called a housekeeper. She was Jewish, and I knew it immediately. Don't ask me how. She was Sephardic, jet black hair, brown complexion, a terrific sense of humor, really, and we adored it. We had 4 children, and we all adored her. Marianne Haringman was her name. She was amazing. Later on, after the war, then I knew her whole history. Marianne's husband was a fish seller. He had a little cart. They lived in Amsterdam, in the Jordan, that is really the Jordan, where the Jewish people all lived. And one day he went with his little cart and fish, and somebody came running to Marianne and said, "They have gotten your husband," because the Germans were catching the Jewish people. Marianne had 2 children. They were 2 years and 3 years old. The little girl was Eva and the boy was David. And anyway, she was very smart, very quick on the mark. She grabbed her children, got into Amsterdam station and in the train and came down to Limburg, where they must have had that my father did not know. And I was dying to know. I said, "Papa, but how did Marianne know?" And my father said there were ways and means, but he did not know. He was in the underground too. So she came to Limburg, to Heerlen, and my father was in the underground with the boss from the underground, who was a Chinese lung specialist and lived 2 houses beside us. and they went and picked Marianne up, but they had to separate her there and then from her two children. Can you imagine? 2 years old, 3 years old, and she did not know. She said, "Where do you take my children?" And Dr. Croix said, "Marianne, we cannot tell you. That is too dangerous." So she came then as a housekeeper to us. And as I said, we adored her. She was, in her good days, she was full of fun, had a terrific sense of humor. But when the bad time in the months for her came, she became terribly depressed, and she said to my father and my mother, "I'm going to kill myself." And my parents said, "But Marianne, if you do that, and then the war is over, your children will have no one." So she didn't, but my parents had to stay up with her for 3 or 4 nights because they didn't dare to leave her alone. So, and then we were betrayed. Marianne stayed with us for nearly 8 months. We were betrayed that were hiding a Jewish person. And there again, one good deed, remember that, is very important. You do a good deed, and that works years after. And to clarify that, my grandfather was the head and had started a cooperative. And they had a bakery and butchery, everything you can imagine. One of the bakers was not a good guy, and he was stealing, etc. And my grandfather was informed about it, so he let it go. And then, well, no, he kept doing it. My grandfather fired him. Then, and he said, "Oh, but now what about? I have 10 children. We have 10 children." My grandfather said, "We will take care of the children, but you have no job here." We, I, my grandfather said, "Really?" And my grandfather did for years. That was in 1928. So, well, in all those years, my grandfather cared for those children, etc. That was fine. So, when the Germans were there, they had a beautiful house, the SS, in a street near us. And that man that my grandfather had, he joined the NSB, the National Socialist Party, and that was fine. He had to go to the headquarters of the SS every day to hear what his job would be. He did something with a bicycle and so forth. One day he heard the bosses, the officers from the SS in the room. He was waiting in the hall talking about bindles and that they were going to have razzias, a raid on bindles. This man got out, climbed in his bicycle, knew where my grandfather lived, and came and said to my grandfather, "Meneer Bindels, there is going to be a razzias in one of your son's house. I do not know whom, which of your sons. I'm just coming to warn you." See, from 1927 till then. So if you can do a good deed just like that on the spur of the moment, do it. It always comes back to you.
Right. Yeah.
And so my grandfather, he still was allowed to have a car, came to our house. Now it happened that my father had been very ill and had been in the hospital with pneumonia. So, but he had come out, and that time there was no antibiotica, no sulfas, nothing. After 9 days, the crisis came and either you died or you lived. So, and, but, so my father was still in bed, and I had two brothers and one sister. They were small. But my grandfather came to my house, and I still can see him. I was crazy about him. I adored my grandfather with his walking stick in the where they put the letters through. So I ran and said, Opa, Opa. And he said, where is your father? And I said, Papa is in bed. And then he said, okay. So he went to the stairs and said, Henri. And my father came and he said, what you do, that is your business. Get that woman out of the house. He said, you cannot endanger your wife or your children. Get her out. And that was all he said. He closed the door, went back to his car, and that was it. So my father called me and said, Hans, I want you to go and play with the children. I said, okay, Papa. He said, upstairs to Marianne's room. I said, okay, Papa. So I thought, oh my God. So I got the children, and my father said, don't worry about me. I thought, it's all funny, but okay. So I got the children, and I had the toys, and I knew. Do not ask me how I knew. I always knew that Marianne was Jewish, and the second Jewish woman we had, I also know that she was Jewish. Nobody told me, and so I put all the toys and said to my brothers and my sister, now we can play, we can make all kinds of things. Meanwhile, I was terrified. I went to Marianne's room, took all her clothes out of the cupboard, stripped the bed, and my mother's sister was living with us too. So I put all Marianne's clothes in my aunt's bedroom, so that it was just, yeah, well, that is how we were living. And then the Germans, well, thank God they did not come, but my father knew who had betrayed him. But the funny thing, this is sort of funny, that Dr. Kwa, the Chinese one, he had to make his acquaintance with the Germans. They came and they said, so pleased to meet you, because they thought he was a Japanese, you see, not the Chinese. And he said, yeah, we are allies from the Axis. And the Axis was from Germany, Japan, and Italy. Yeah. You see, so, well, then, yeah, and Dr. Kwa played his game beautiful, but after the war was over, that's when my father told Dr. Kwa was the head of the underground for the whole of Limburg. Oh. But he played his role beautifully. He was only a small man with a smile, Oh, yeah, the Germans thought he was amazing. But anyway, so Marianne got away. My father took her over the hedge at the backyard, and then the next hedge, and the next, that was where Dr. Kwa lived. And then Dr. Kwa took her away. My father did not know where. But it was better that nobody knew. Everything had to be done quick. But no, don't say, oh yeah, but no, there's total silence, because if there is one word that goes out, it's amazing. You will find that in your own life. One word you say, and it goes round, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And in that case, it was so terribly dangerous. So that is how Marianne got away. And then, and Marianne was always saying, where are my children? Where are my children? And my mother and my father understood that too. But my mother, being a woman, she totally, completely understood. And my father didn't even tell my mother where the two children were. because he later on, after the war, he said, but Finn, because my mother got a bit uptight about it. And then he said, Finn, don't you understand? You and I, we sat with her night after night. Can you imagine? He said, how long would you have been quiet? How long would you have not told her? You are a mother too. And my mother said, yeah, Holly, I know. But that was terrible for
Mm.
Marianne. Where she went, my father did not know. Nobody. Don't tell. Do what you have to do, but don't tell.
Mm.
So then afterwards, about half a year later, we got another one. She was totally different, Fintje Heymans. And my mother was ill, so no Fintje came to do the household. Yeah, we were told she was the daughter of a domine. A domine is a Protestant uh, priest. So,
Mm.
okay. And Fintje came and she helped and so forth. Then one day I was home and I was reading, and then I heard a lot of noise, and I thought, whew, looked out of the window, both sides of the streets, trucks, and the army, SS, were picking up men, whoever they could find from the time that they were boys, 16 years of age, and men. And well, there they came, doorbell rang, and I thought, doesn't matter. Our Limburg's dialect is nearly the same as German, not quite, but well, and came, and then, yeah, and I thought, Fintje was scrubbing the kitchen floor, and I thought, oh my God, oh my God, she can't go to the door, she cannot go to the door. Uh, I will go, I can manage. So I opened the door and said, good afternoon. And Fintje came happily out of the kitchen, and she said also good afternoon. Her German was fluent. And they said, ja, gibt es Männer hier? No, Fintje said, no, Meneer Bindels, he has an Ausweis. That is a paper that exempts him from being picked up either for the army or for whatever. And he was a very young guy. And he said, okay. And I thought, but can't he see that she is Jewish? I was really terrified. No, and Fintje was as calm as could be. God, I admired her. I thought, if I will be like her when I'm old, oh, wow. But, and then she said, Guten Nachmittag. And that was it. And I said, Fintje. And she said, and that was it. And I thought, God, how courageous, you're Jewish. And then, when you go and open the door, and there's, mind you, they were only the young ones, the young SS. But nevertheless, so, and then she stayed with us till the liberation, and we were liberated by the army of General Patton. The 17th of September, on a Sunday, we were liberated. And Fintje stayed with us a few weeks later, but something that I never forgot. My father was in the choir from the church. My two brothers were altar service, and it was always what we call benediction on Sunday, 5 o'clock. So there were my father, my mother, my little sister, my little brother, my older brother, I, and Fintje. We went to church for the benediction to thank. And whereas before, for any service that you can imagine, it was packed. If you didn't go half an hour before, you wouldn't get a seat, and even it was full, full, full. We went in, nobody. And Pastor Kellenaars, he said to my father, Meneer Bindels, where are the people. And I still can hear my father say that, Meneer Pastoor, we are liberated. The people don't need God anymore. And that is so etched in my mind. I can still hear their voices, and I'm always aware of things like that. And then Fintje stayed with us for another 3 weeks, and then we were gradually liberated in Limburg and Brabant. She wherever relatives that she found them, and then later on we got from Fintje, really, she married a doctor. Well, first it was students and so forth, and they went to Israel, and Sal was a dermatologist in a hospital in Jerusalem, and Fintje was just the mother of 5 children,
Wow.
and 3 boys and 2 girls, and 2 of the boys died in the first Israeli war.
Oh.
But they invited us, Fintje and Sal invited us, my parents really, but my father had died meanwhile, and my mother was old, and well, her health was bad. No, my mother said, you and you, my second brother, and my first brother, oldest brother, and second brother. And the 3 of us, we went to Jerusalem, and then we stayed there for 4 weeks, all on our own. We went everywhere. It was beautiful. We saw a lot, we experienced a lot, and then we were invited to the Yad Vashem, and so forth. It was really something never to forget. So there you go.
Wow. Wow.
But then another thing was too, because I knew that we had our hiding, they were not really hiding, they were working. Jewish people. I also knew what would happen if we were ever found out. I had no friends because I didn't dare to be friendly to anyone because, being young and talking, and we had in our class, I went to a nun school, in our class 4 pupils whose fathers were NSBers. They were from the National Socialist Party, so well, and so you didn't. I just studied. Thank God I loved reading. I really did love reading. And for the rest, looked after my brothers and my sister. But for the rest, no, I didn't want to go anywhere, didn't want to really see anybody because I was so afraid that one word, and these kids go home and say that word, and if the father is clean, oh, how no, I didn't. So, but you have always to pay a price for things like that. But later on, when I was growing up, I realized how difficult that life is for a child. And my parents did not know that I knew. And after the war, my parents were talking, and I said, "Oh," I said, "Mama, I knew that Marianne and Fintje were Jewish." My mother said, "You you know?" I said, "Yeah, who told you?" I said, "Nobody, I knew." And my mother said to my father, "Henri, if I had known that she knew, it would have been a no for." Yeah, because when you are young, and little girls like to do this and talk that, and I like to boast a little bit, but,
Wow.
but that is how.
Well,
Yeah.
we are just in awe to hear this story. And
Mhm.
I want to say on behalf of my community, coming from a Jewish background, we have others here as well. Thank you, thank you.
But you do, when I was home after I was married and I had 2 children and we lived in Africa and then came on leave, I asked my father, I said, Papa, if that started again, the war again, and there would be pogroms, would you take in sort of refugees, Jewish people? And he looked at me and he said, Hans, and he pointed to my children, and he said, we are not our brothers' keepers. We are our brothers. And that is
Mm.
a whole different, keepers and brothers is a totally
Wow.
different relationship.
Wow.
That these were my parents.
Mm. Mm. Now, can I ask a question? It seems that you made that clear, but was your parents' faith something that attributed to their actions during that time?
Yeah, Roman Catholics and really stern ones, beautiful ones. My father in the choir, my mother in some of the organizations of the church. We brought up Roman Catholic. And my father was right. We are our brothers. We are
Right.
not keepers. I hate that word really. I
Mm.
said, brothers, keepers. For God's sake, it's just as if they are in prison. And
Mm.
no, my father was absolutely right. But his brothers, he had 7 brothers, and my grandfather, none of them agreed. They said, Henri is stupid,
Mm.
to endanger. Depends how you see life, what you want from life, how you perceive life, how you think your own role in life. It's not that important. The others are important. We are just little people who do what we have to do. Unfortunately, the fortunes are changing terribly now compared to
Mm.
in the 40s and 50s and even the 60s. Compared to now, we are living in a cesspool.
Mm.
Horrifying.
Mm. Well, as Jews we say, "He who saves a life saves a world unto itself."
Yes, that is in the Yad Vashem
Yes,
in the medal,
in
Yeah.
the middle. So it's amazing. Two worlds were saved, and to think today the descendants that are in Israel and around the world.
Yeah, with the descendants, we met Saul and Finch's children.
Wow.
The 2 boys, they were killed in the war, but the 3 others were alive. Well, I looked at the papers, and then John and Theo and I, we went in 87, that just before all the nonsense started in Israel, to see. Then there were already 40
Wow.
children of the
Isn't that amazing?
children. And now, that was in 87. I
Yeah.
wonder how many there are now.
Yeah,
But
only on the other side of eternity will we know
yeah,
the
uh,
worlds that were affected and that
but,
were.
but you see, it doesn't really matter who knows and what is known. You do what you have to
Mm.
do. What's really in the Ten Commandments, we
Yes.
don't need any laws. We don't need anything.
Right.
We follow that, and we will always be all right. We also will always know what we have to do. You see,
Mm.
people nowadays are, I really don't know. Oh, it's simple. Follow your conscience if you have one.
Mm. Wow. Well, that was really remarkable, and we're so blessed to have heard that story and to actually capture it for future generations to hear what it means to make the right choice in the face of adversity and great danger.
Yeah, more, now also everybody sorts of, when you ask and say, oh, but we have to do something. Yeah, but
Mm.
during the war, when? the prisoners, the Jewish people, were transported in the trains to Germany, to the camps, the railway workers said, no, we won't do it.
Mm.
And they went on strike. And the Germans came, the SS, and shot 50 of them,
Wow.
just like that. The bishops said, the letters that were read in the church, you have, that's our duty, to help people, and they meant the Jewish people, who are in need of being hidden and what have you. That is your duty.
Mm.
As Roman Catholics, that's what we do in all the churches of all the 5 dioceses. The priests and so many priests were caught. They were all, most of them in the underground too,
Mm.
and so forth. The churches were nowadays, look with the abortion issue, with the killing of the sick people. Where is the
Yeah.
leadership, Mother of God?
Yeah. Well, it's quite remarkable even to know some of the most gripping stories during the time of the Holocaust and the show were out of the Dutch underground and the resistance. We think of even the Corrie ten Boom, and
Hmm.
we think of the story of Anne Frank,
Yeah,
and it's all from that area. So
yeah.
we really honor the Dutch people, those who stood
Yeah, we were
and
tough.
yeah, who
Yeah, that
stood
is
through
true. We
that
all,
time. Yeah,
but you also had the ones that
right.
let them take them away. For me, I did not know that. I thought they were all like my parents,
Mm,
hiding Jewish people. And after the war, it comes out, no, they are killed and they are killed and they are killed. And
mm,
then it makes you wonder. I thought, is that how people, they don't help? What's wrong
mm,
in their mind? I could not believe it that that was possible.
mm.
But there it was.
Wow.
Many people were killed, and also many Jewish, a few in our neighborhood, who were hidden, but only if they
Mm,
did this,
yeah,
you see.
yeah.
And it's an anathema to me,
Yes.
Yes.